Now let's jump to the next then, which is communism versus fascism. And this is where it's confusing, because I don't think that many political commentators have the vocabulary necessary to define politics. Now that sounds like an incredibly presumptuous statement, but I'm making that deliberately because this is where I'm going in my talk. It's suggested that fascism is the far right. And it's suggested because, for example, in Hitler's Germany, an individual could still own land and a house, you could still own a business, and you could still practice your own religion. In which case, fascism, allowing for individual ownership and freedoms, looks like capitalism. It looks like it's saying the individual is the greatest good. But this isn't the case. In Hitler's Germany, he was applying socialism. The state was the greatest good. Fascism was simply pragmatic socialism. In other words, if I want to dominate you and take you over, but if 20% or 30% of you guys own businesses and I'm about to take them off you, and if half of you own land, or 40% of you by New Zealand statistics, and I'm to take that off you, you're going to hate me. And I'm going to have to try and oppress you all the time because I've taken away what you perceive to be your freedom. So as an entirely practical person, I'm going to let you keep those. But understand this, I am God. And if you speak against me, you will be whacked harder than you can imagine, quicker than you can imagine, and you will lose everything. I can own your business and your land and kill you like that because the state is the greatest good and I am God. So if you see what I'm saying, it gives an appearance of capitalism and freedom, but it wasn't. It was still socialism, it was just pragmatic. If we look at some of the other key differences between fascism, which is said to be far right, and communism, said to be far left. Fascism claims inequality from the start because the goal is the ruling class and the ruled for their well-being. Communism claims equality from the start, but it never delivers on its promise. It always becomes the ruled and the ruling. Fascism starts off by being highly nationalistic. Our nation is going to be awesome and we're going to triumph. Are you trying to tell me that communism doesn't become that, right? Fascism allows for some personal freedoms, like I've mentioned already, business, land and religion, but you don't actually own those. They're just lent to you. My point is very simply that the values of these two things are exactly the same. They are the same thing. They just apply it from a different starting point. And if we look at the results of the two, they are exactly the same. I want to read the litany of death from communism. 45 countries became communist satellites during the Cold War. In every single one of them, tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands or millions, were murdered and the people lost their freedoms. Afghanistan, Albania, Angola, Armenia, Azerbaijan, however you say it, Belarus, Benin, Bosnia, Bulgaria, Cambodia. Just think of the suffering that's gone on in the last 100 years as I read this. Cambodia, China, Congo, Cuba, Croatia, Czech Republic, East Germany, Egypt, Eritrea, Estonia, Ethiopia, Georgia, Herzegovina, Indonesia, Hungary, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Laos, Latvia, Lebanon, Lithuania, Macedonia, Moldova, Mongolia, Montenegro, Mozambique, Nicaragua, North Korea, Poland, Romania, Russia, Serbia, Slovakia, Slovenia, Somalia, South Yemen, Syria, Tajikistan, Tibet, Turkmenistan, Ukraine, Uzbekistan, Vietnam, Yemen and Yugoslavia. Socialist ideas and ideologies were applied in every country to take the power away from the people, to put it into a ruling class, a result of which people suffer all over the world in incalculable numbers. There are only 5 communist nations currently: China, North Korea, Cuba, Laos and Russia. I think that Venezuela should probably be added to that list now. Fascism, there's no fascist nations right now. The most recent to shut down were Chile and Argentina.